Welcome everyone. Today's topic is the smart way to invest in pre-foreclosures. Okay, so we're going to start by explaining what the foreclosure process is. So it's going to be very, very simple. Somebody has a house, right, a homeowner, and they are going to, for some reason, go through financial distress, changes in their life, and they won't be able to make the mortgage payment. So what's going to happen is we're going to draw the timeline for the foreclosure process. So at this point, you're going to have 30 up to 90 days delinquency. Okay? So at this point, homeowners are going to start to get phone calls from the bank. They're going to say, well, we made an agreement. This is what's happening. We're not getting your mortgage payment on time. So what's going to happen is the bank is going to wait up to 90 days. Okay, so after 90 days, what's going to happen is that the property is going to enter the foreclosure process. Now, something that you need to understand is that Illinois happens to be a judicial state. What it means is that banks will have to go through the court system in order to foreclose on the owners. Okay, so that is why the foreclosure process in Illinois or judicial states can take up to 2 years. Okay, just a long time, versus non-judicial states, meaning they don't have to go through the court system. It can take up to as little as 6 months to foreclose on the owner. So Illinois is a judicial state. Big difference. So half of the United States is judicial, the other half is non-judicial. So now, what happens after 90 days? After 90 days, the bank will officially file a lawsuit against the owner, okay? So at that point, the lawsuit is, in the legal terms, lien pendant. So it's officially in pre-foreclosure. So what's going to happen is the owner needs to concur with the mortgage payments. Else, guess what? The property is going to get auctioned off, okay? So through the court system, boom, it's going to go for sale, and the proceeds of the sale of the property are going to be used to pay off the creditors, okay? That's simple. So at this point, the second step is that after, this is the first step. The second step is after 9 to 12 months, okay? If the owner still has not concurred with the loan, then it's going to be official that the judge is going to set the auction date. So at that point, it's official. The property is going to go to the judicial auction, and the judicial auction is going to happen at the courthouse in the county where the property resides, okay? So 6 to 9 months, we call that upcoming auction, okay? Because there's going to be 30 to 90 days before the auction occurs. Okay, so we call these upcoming auctions. Okay, so what is the difference and why is that important to distinguish between these two phases? It is super critical because at this point in the first phase, the owner is going to be in denial. They may believe they're going to be able to get caught up with the mortgage payments, right? And then still save their house. Most likely it's not going to happen. So the big difference between this phase and the second phase is when the judge has already set the auction date for this property. So at that point, it's serious, right? There's no way back. If the owner does not concur with the loan, with the mortgage and penalties and fees and attorney's fees, guess what? It will go to the judicial auction. So at this point, in the second phase, the owner is going to be extremely motivated. So they went from denial to very motivated to take action, especially if the owners have a lot of equity in the property, meaning that they owe very little on the mortgage and the property is worth quite a lot, right? Because what's going to happen is if they don't concur with the loan, they're going to lose the home, boom, they're going to lose the entire equity and they're going to ruin their credit, right? So at this point, this is a super critical step in the foreclosure process that you need to be aware of. And not only that, but we are giving you these two leads in ChicagoDealVault. So we highly recommend for you to focus on upcoming auctions because the owners are going to become hot leads. Here, we call them sort of like cold or warm leads, right? They're not as motivated, but at this point, they have to sell the property, else they're gonna lose it. And then guess what? If nothing happens at this point, if we don't come to the rescue, right? Because you as an investor, what you're gonna do, your role is to come help the owner. How can you help the owner? Saving the property, right? You don't want the property to go to the judicial auction. This is the last place where you want to end up. You know why? Because there, people are going to overbid for the property. They're going to buy sight unseen. They won't be able to see the inside of the property, and they have to pay cash. So you should not go to the judicial auctions to buy properties. You should intercept the property either here at the pre-foreclosure stage or at the upcoming auction. These are the two stages where you need to intercept the property, because I'm going to tell you the big differences. Once the step number 3, right, is at the judicial auction, right? So what we're going to do is here is the judicial auction, okay? So that's where the judge is going to say, boom, the property is sold or not sold. It's going to go back to the bank. So I'm going to tell you very quickly the big differences. When people buy properties at the judicial auction, they have to show up in person. They have to pay cash for the property within 24 hours. If they win the bid, they won't be able to see the property from the inside, okay? And they're going to compete against other investors. So it's like a Shark Tank, right? So the problem is that people may overbid for the property and they may end up overpaying for it. And to make matters worse is that if they don't do due diligence on the property, they can end up buying a secondary lien, right? And they're still in the hook for the first lien. So they can lose their shirt at the judicial auctions. So it is extremely risky. Now, the benefits of intercepting the property either here at the first stage or the second stage are huge. Let me just mention a few of them. Number one, you have zero competition, okay? Because you're going to communicate directly with the owner. Number two, you're going to be able to see the property from the inside. You're going to be able to inspect the property, okay? Not only that, but you are going to be able to get funding for the property. So you don't need to pay cash within 24 hours. You can get financing either through a private money lender, hard money lender, conventional lender. So that is huge. Those are the main 3 advantages: zero competition, being able to see the property from the inside, and getting funding for it. Now you see the difference why you need to intercept the property before it goes to the judicial auction. Now, let's assume that we did not intercept the property in neither one of those 2 stages. What's going to happen is that it's going to go to the judicial auction, right? So at this point, if nobody buys the property, guess what? This property becomes REO, okay? So it becomes bank-owned property. So if nobody buys the property, then this becomes an REO, real estate owned, which means that the bank will take over the property. But the bank is not in the business of real estate. They are in the business of lending. So what they're going to do is they are going to send this property to the online auctions, like auction.com, Hubzu.com, Hudson & Marshall, and Williams & Williams. Those are the major 4 platforms for online auctions, okay? And at that point, it's the same story as the judicial auction. You are going to be bidding against other investors. You are going to be potentially overpaying for the property. So you want to be able to intercept the property in the first 2 stages. Does that make sense? Because again, you have no competition. You're going to be able to finance the transaction, And most importantly, you get to see the property from the inside. Obviously, you always have to do your due diligence because you want to make sure that when you buy the property in these two stages, you do title search and you end up with a special warranty deed. Okay, so that means that it is free of encumbrances. The title that you receive, it's free of any cloudy or liens on the property. Okay, you want a clean title. So that's what you just need to make sure when you purchase the property, you buy title insurance, and that is just a streamlined process. And it's a win-win for everyone because guess what? You end up, when you intercept the property in these two stages, you end up with a great property, paying perhaps 50, 60 cents on the dollar. The owner is going to be able to walk away with cash, right? Because not only are you going to pay off the outstanding mortgage, but you're going to incentivize the owner with sort of like a moving package, relocation package for them to settle somewhere else. And finally, the bank is not going to lose or get to keep the property, right? So the bank is going to get their money, the owner saves his credit and walks away with cash, and you end up with a great deal, perhaps paying 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar. Those are the biggest benefits when you intercept the property in the pre-foreclosure stage, 30 to 90 days after the owner became delinquent on the mortgage, or very close to when the judicial auction is going to happen. It's called upcoming auction, which happens 9 to 12 months after the foreclosure process started. So now, how do you find these leads and how do you get them on the contract? Let me show you how to do that very, very quickly. And most importantly, something that we're focusing on and that I recommend you focus on is properties that have a lot of equity. What it means that the owner owes very little on the property, but yet the property is worth quite a lot, right? Because you're going to have a lot of room for negotiation in those properties. There are going to be other properties that are underwater, right? Upside down. What it means is that the owner owes more than what the property is worth. So they qualify perhaps for a short sale or loan modification. But just to keep it simple, focus on the properties that have a lot of equity. How do we do that? Let me show you. Let me share my screen to show you where you find those leads on ChicagoDealVault and why this is so critical for you to understand. So we're going to do a quick search, okay, on their off-market properties. So right here, I'm going to go to off-market properties, and we have pre-foreclosures, which is the first stage, okay, and the second stage is going to be upcoming auctions. But for now, we're going to focus on pre-foreclosures. Right here, pre-foreclosures and upcoming auctions. So you could do either one of them. I just want to show you how to find them, how to get them on the contract. So first of all, here we have the filtering criteria. You're going to put either a county on the left, or you may select a city, whatever city you've decided to invest in. So just for sakes, we're going to do, let's say, Bolingbrook, okay? And if I search for all the pre-foreclosures in Bolingbrook, I believe I'm going to get a ton of it. So obviously we got close to over 500. That's way too many. So what we're going to do is we are going to filter by equity. You see this filter right here? So with the equity, we are going to be able to do over 50% equity. What it means is that, again, the owner owes very little, but yet the property is worth a lot. So now from over 500, we're going to narrow that down to only 50. Okay, so that is more manageable. Okay, does that make sense? So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to look at 50 properties in Bolingbrook. So I'm going to randomly click on one of them, and I'm going to show you why this is a great deal. Okay, so this happens to be a 3-bedroom, 3-bed, about 2,000 square feet. Okay, now why is this a great deal? because this property, let's look at this. The owner owes 81,000, okay? And the property is worth 200,000. So that's pretty much half of it. So the owner has over 50% equity. Let's pull up another one. So in this one, the owner owes 97,000, but yet the property is worth over 200,000. So again, the owner owes less than half of what the property is worth, and they're going to lose the property. So that is insane, right? I mean, how can that happen? So this is where we come to the rescue. So the next step is, at this point, is to reach out to the existing owner of record. So in this case is Don. So you have two ways of reaching out to the owners. Most people do mailers, which if I go back to the filtering criteria, we have a mailing campaign system right here in the middle. So you can do mailers, you can select any letter, you can preview the letter, and we're gonna do the mail merge for you, okay, just with a click of a button. But what we like to do is reach out to the owner directly via phone, email, or text. So the way we do that is we simply click on the owner's name and boom, we're gonna give you their contact information. So in this case, we were able to pull 2 records for this owner. So we're gonna give you their email, cell phone, landline, everything we find, okay? So what we're gonna do is we are gonna give you, if you're part of DealVault, the scripts to get on the phone with these owners. And it's gonna go something very simple as finding out their motivation level, right? So we're gonna show you in the scripts the key questions that you need to ask to identify what type of lead they are. Either they're hot, medium, or lead, because you wanna work with people who are ready to sell in the next month, 2 months, okay? Those are the people that you wanna work on. Because again, they're gonna be people, owners who are in denial and they're not ready to sell, right? So you wanna put them as a warm or cold lead, okay? So eventually you need to follow up with them as well, because overnight they could switch from warm or cold all the way to hot, that they really need to sell the property. So you need to keep in touch with them. So it is as simple as reaching out with a phone call. So your competition is going to be doing mailers, and guess what? The open rate is only 3%. If they do 100 mailers, guess what? They're lucky if they get 3 responses. But when you reach out directly via phone, email, or text, can you imagine? You may wait minutes, hours, and it is free. So skip tracing is the mechanism to find out their contact information. So you don't need to pay for it. It is part of ChicagoDealVault. And guess what? Skip tracing is a very expensive service. It is all part of ChicagoDealVault. So I want you to try it. I want you to find just what I did. In few minutes, I was able to find 50 great deals, right? So what we're gonna do next is, when you're part of DealVault, we're gonna give you the scripts. We call them seller scripts, okay? And if you are a Blue Angel member or a yearly member, we're gonna give you the campaign. We have created a yearly campaign of text messages, emails, everything that you need to follow up with the leads, okay? So you don't need to think, create, work, or anything. We're gonna give you the campaign that shows exactly step by step what you need to do. In fact, Phil, can you send that to me via a private chat? I want to be able to show that yearly campaign, okay? So we have certain templates for text and email that you just copy paste and keep in touch with your leads. But most importantly, we're going to show you how to feel comfortable on the phone with the scripts to find out, number 1, their motivation level. Number 2, you're going to ask key questions about the property because you want to find out the condition of the property, and eventually you're going to need to see the property either virtually with pictures or videos or physically to be able to make a fair assessment on the rehab and obviously a fair offer to the owner, right? Because you want to help, it has to be a win-win. Most importantly, you're going to have a huge moral responsibility, right? When you're dealing with these people, because guess what? You may be their last chance to save the property. So you want to make sure that you empathize you understand what they need, right? Because these people are going through emotional, financial distress. You need to be aware of it. Not only be aware of it, but 100% empathize with their situation. You are in the people's business. Real estate is a people's business. So when you help somebody in distress, you're going to be compensated at the end, okay? But we have to have the end in mind, helping people not lose their homes. Obviously, you're going to end up with a great deal in the process, but your objective is to understand what they need. Therefore, we're going to give you the script for you to understand their motivation level, the condition of the property, and most importantly, make an appointment, right? So you need a call of action. In this case, the call of action when you are on the phone with the owner is to make an appointment. Let me just quickly give you an example. So I get on the phone with Mr. Don. I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Don, my name is Hugo. I'm a real estate investor currently investing in Bolingbrook. I just happened to run across your property and I noticed that it's in foreclosure. Were you aware of it? So they might become dependent. They might acknowledge the fact that they're in foreclosure and that they don't know what to do. So at that point, you want to build rapport, find out where they are in the process, right? If they're ready to move out, if they want to stay in the property. And then obviously once you build rapport and they are talking to you, you want to find out more about the property's condition. And as a final step is the call to action, which you want to make an appointment, either virtually to see the property or in person, whichever way them and you feel comfortable. That is the objective, to get the property under contract. And best of all, we are also going to give you the 2-page contract that will help you get the property under contract. So right here, let me show you. Let me close these. And there's a button right here that says make off-market offer right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you this 2-page contract as well, that it's already pre-filled for you. This is what you need to have the owner sign, right? By signing this contract, pretty much you have the right to either close on the property or wholesale this contract for a finder's fee to an investor, okay? So now what we're going to do next is we're going to take some questions. Phil, please put on the chat the instructions for people to get free access to ChicagoDealVault. The promo code is foreclosure. Okay, you're going to get 30 days for free. I want you to find at least 5 awesome deals. And since we're going to give you the scripts, I want you to at least call 3 of them just to test the waters, okay? But we're going to give you the scripts. I want you to take action. So please send the script. Thank you, Phil. And what I'm going to show you next in this link, for those of you who are Blue Angel members, check this out. This is just mind-blowing. We call this the seller ignition template. It's a 365, well, technically 381-day campaign, okay? So when I scroll down, we're going to tell you step 1, do an email. So we're going to tell you what the subject title should be, what the content should be, and then the second, how many days after the first one. And then we're going to go on and on and on. So you're going to wait 2 days, and this is what you're going to do on step number 3. You're going to do an SMS. Step number 4, you're going to wait. So we have spread this out for 300. It's a yearly campaign, okay, that you can have this in autopilot to keep in touch with your leads. So if you're a Blue Angel member or a yearly member, we're going to make this available to you. Thank you very much, Phil, for pulling this up. Now we're going to answer some questions, okay? So let me check. Feel free to unmute yourself or put them via the chat. I want to make sure that we answer all your questions. Okay. Are there any questions on the line? What type of insurance did Hugo recommend for properties that are in step 2 upcoming auctions? What type of insurance? Oh, it's called title insurance. Okay, you have to buy title insurance just to make sure that you get special warranty deed or general warranty deed. So you get a title conveyed without any encumbrances. Another question is, what is the source of the equity? Okay, so great question. We know how much the ARV of the property is, and we know how much the owner is in the hook for, right? So we do the difference. If the property is worth 200,000, but the owner only owes 100,000, there's 100,000 in equity. So that's how we come up with the equity. Great question. Another question is, do you always add the other liens? Absolutely, Xavier, that's a great point. Some properties have liens. They may have mechanics lien, HOA liens from the government tax. So you're gonna need to add them up to the outstanding balance of the mortgage because you need to satisfy all the liens. Great question, Xavier. Are there any other questions on the line? Okay, another question is, how are you calculating the ARV? We run nightly batches in ChicagoDealVault because we have access to the MLS, and we pull comps that are within a 1 mile radius that sold in the last 6 months, and we're comparing apples with apples when it comes to square footage, number of bedrooms and bathrooms. That's how we come up with the after repair value. And are you doing manually or no? We're getting these automatically. So we have algorithms that run in the back. Great question. To clarify, where does the initial loan balance and start date of the loan come from? Okay, so it's public record. So here is the outstanding balance. We even have the details, right? When the last date that they made a payment. We even know like their interest rate. We know absolutely when the loan was issued, every single detail of the mortgage. It's right here. It's public record, okay? We just put everything together for you. Great question. Another one from Anthony is, some counties have halted their auctions due to the pandemic. Absolutely. The delay would diminish motivation for the seller. Is there a way to find out when the auctions will start up again? Great question, Anthony. Absolutely. Right now, things are closed. They're going to open up next year. We don't know when. Okay. My suspicion, based off talking to the top key players in the industry, is that they're all saying that they're going to open up sometime in April, May. So sometime in the summer. But when they open, there's going to be a huge tsunami wave of pre-foreclosure. So I want you to get started today, right? So that you're ready to pull the trigger when you see this tsunami wave of opportunities, okay? So get access, filter them by high equity, just identify 5 of them. Call them with the script that we're going to give you. And if you're a Blue Angel member, we're also going to give you the yearly campaign. Are there any other questions on the line? Any other questions? Please make sure that you join these Wednesdays webinar. If you could please post the invite for Wednesday's webinar, and also again, let's put the details to sign up for ChicagoDealVault for the next 30 days free trial. I want to make sure that you have the leads, the scripts. We are going to include the script tracing, everything for you to make at least 3 phone calls next week. If you happen to find a motivated seller, you need help, please let us know. We'll be happy to assist in getting the property under contract. Great. So thank you everyone for joining today. This concludes the webinar. I'm gonna give you a quick summary of what we talked about today. So you're gonna have 2 stages in the foreclosure process that are very, very critical. You have after 30 to 90 days, it's the initial pre-foreclosure phase. And the second phase is after 9 to 12 months, when the judge officially set the auction date. Okay, this is where you need to intercept the property because you're going to be able to inspect the property, from the inside, you are going to be able to fund the transaction, and you're going to have zero competition. So you will never, ever overpay for the property. It's a win-win for the owner, for you, and for the bank. You never want to show up at the judicial courthouse because you're going to need to pay cash. You're not going to be able to see the property from the inside, and you're going to be competing against other investors. Okay, so that concludes the webinar. Please make sure that you get access. And if you still don't have access, we're going to give it to you for free for the next 30 days. Script for you to follow when you get on the phone with owners.